this thing on?
We talking about practice, man.
Yeah, I work with my hands. It's a misdemeanor in 27 states.
You gotta be comfortable with your co-host in this amount of space.
Yeah, I can see me and you.
This guy runs a state.
You get that through your head?
You just got hashtag content.
You know, technology and stuff.
Open your grill. It's stuck in your teeth.
Now I have to mark them so I don't get to lick mine.
You're not really that stupid, are you?
Quavos.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
We double eye editing this time.
The ceiling is the roof. Let's make it happen.
Hey, fluky or not, the cup has been hoisted down in the Music City.
So many peepers have bet on this NBA Finals. Why that be?
Maybe we'll find out. We're talking with hoopshead, FOTS, Matt Hauswirth.
From FOTS to flavor shots, Bondo is taking the reins on Get Off My Lawn this week.
To be determined, episode 15, previously recorded from the studio in Mom's basement. At Sports by Bond, Stephen Bond, along with the wonderful, the talented, at Trabs Matt.
Gonna make me blush. Whew.
Matt Trable along with us. Episode 15. My golly, almost 4 months into this thing.
My golly, Miss Molly.
Hard to believe it. Started it way back in February, so
Jeez.
rocking and rolling.
That is, to
Well,
put into perspective.
I should say March, really, but
Put into perspective. That crazy.
the basic premise to this show, for those that don't know, we recorded in upstate New York in Mom's basement. Basic premise of this show, we try to bring you a little different flavor to sports, to life, serious but not serious discussion about sports,
It's a good mix.
life, beer, chicks, fitness, the whole 9 yards.
Don't forget that.
Part of what we're going to try to do from now on is really explain what we're trying to determine today.
That is one of the words in our title.
We're trying to make the connection between the show title and what we try to do and just make it a little more obvious. So today we're trying to figure out two main things.
Mm-hmm.
One, we're trying to figure out the Stanley Cup final. So as I mentioned, the cup has been hoisted. We have a Stanley Cup champion. The second thing we're going to try to figure out, why is America so intrigued by Cavs-Warriors round 3? Those are the two things we're going to set out to determine.
That is a great question.
At the top of the show. So, obviously, what we're doing today is we're talking ball with Matt Hauswirth of CNY Central, FOTS friend of the show, recurring guest, the whole 9 yards. Plus, are you really a professional athlete if you only earn $127 for a season?
Again, don't make me blush.
And finally, we're talking Brotein with our best bro, James Whalen, Jimmy Wheels, our fitness guru expert, all the above.
Jimmy the Wheels, man.
We begin tonight, because we're recording this on a Sunday night.
I mean, time is a flat circle, so really, I mean.
Technically, we are we past midnight yet? Yes, we are into Monday morning, the wee hours of Monday morning. And we're going to start this thing off with the Stanley Cup final. The Pittsburgh Penguins getting it done. They become the first back-to-back champions since the Detroit Red Wings did it in the late 90s, so almost 20 years we've gone without back-to-back Cup champions. You love that. Great parity in the league. You love that. I love to see that, even though Pittsburgh, Chicago, those teams have been dominant for a while. Great to see. The Conn Smythe, Sidney Crosby wins it back-to-back, becomes the first time to win it back-to-back since his owner did it, Mario Lemieux. We'll get to the Conn Smythe.
I roll.
So let's talk about Game 6. The team that was going to break home ice was going to win. So whoever got that road win first was going to win the cup. And it just so happens that we had it in Game 6.
Yeah.
We went 2 for 2, in games 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Each team held serve at home. We get to Game 6. We get to Game 5, right? Let me back up. And Pittsburgh shellacks Nashville. Shellacks them. 3 goals in the first, 3 in the second. Nashville pulls Pekka Rinne after the first, and I tweeted this out. I tweeted this out after that game. Will this have a lingering effect for Nashville going back home? It didn't appear to. It didn't appear like there was a lingering effect. I thought both teams played well. Both goalies played unbelievable games. The highlights in this one, and you're going to hear this ad nauseum today, tomorrow, throughout the week, even leading up until next year, the no goal in the first for Nashville. The quick whistle, the puck squirting through Matt Murray, and it was free in the crease. Should have been a goal. All normal plays aside, should have been a goal. The whistle did blow. You got to go with the whistle. You have to go with the whistle in that instance. As crappy as that sounds, you have to.
And it's the whole, and I hate, and it's a lot of these old writers, especially in baseball, not as much in hockey, and they just mention the fact that, it's the human aspect. You have to have the human aspect, and maybe the rules need to be changed around it so you can properly incorporate the human aspect. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Because I don't want people saying, well, it was 2-0. That was only going to be 1 goal. But now with an empty netter, it would have changed everything. It was so early on.
You never would have had that empty netter, though.
Yeah.
You never would have had the empty netter. It would have been tied at 1 and going into overtime and an epic Game 6. And then you don't care. When it gets to overtime, you wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But we don't get it.
Clean.
And the point about replay, yes. In hindsight, the 2020 look, it always looks different. You're always going to get the benefit of seeing it in slow motion, but it changes it. It changes that play. So we didn't like the offsides rule. We didn't like the offsides review. Yeah. That just adds to that exact same bucket, I guess.
But with the offsides rule, a lot of people were mentioning the fact that what did it change? What did it change? Did that need to be called? Would it have been able to go on without a hitch the game if that doesn't get called? This one, the alternative, really would have been a huge difference.
Yeah, it would have been. You're absolutely right. So we shave the playoff beards for now. We go to the third. Pens take 2 penalties. Nashville going up on a 5-on-3 power play, and you think, here it is.
They got,
here it comes.
Something had to give.
And again, referencing Twitter, I tweeted out right before this, this has the feel of a 1-0 OT game. And it was close.
Not bad.
I was pretty close. The way Matt Murray held tough during that 5-on-3, he looked composed. He looked assured. The puck looked like a beach volleyball. He does not look like a 23, 24-year-old kid playing in his second Stanley Cup final.
It's unbelievable.
That's insane.
The goalie playing this game. People are like, it was a snoozy game. This is how the Stanley Cup Finals 2017 ends. But it's a testament to how good both guys played. You really got to give it, and you got to give it up. Hat tip to Pekka as well. I mean, he was making saves, good saves, like legitimate saves, without even looking at the puck in the first period there, Rinne. But
he made a couple of interesting decisions to come out of the net a couple of times. It didn't burn him, but it could have. I felt like it could have turned disastrous. You mentioned goalie play, and you mentioned Fluky. That's what the goal was. That's what we had from Patrick Hornquist. A fluky goal. Pekka doesn't see where the shot goes. After the shot goes by him and careens off the boards, he looked to his right. The puck's to his left.
Yeah.
Hornquist gets the jump and knows exactly where it is, and the defense could not react in time. It's such a bang-bang play.
Very risky to just take a side of the net like that.
Credit Hornquist for throwing it at the net. Mm-hmm. As they say, the cliche goes in hockey, it's never a bad play to throw it at the net. Well, you got a Stanley Cup because of it.
It was really even against physics. The fact that the puck is so much heavier than that net, it just started climbing up the net. That was absurd.
It rolled off the net in an awkward way.
Yeah, and it just kept
Hornquist
it suspended in the air more.
Bats it and goes off Rinne. A play that's been done dozens of times. Dozens of times in the postseason, in the regular season. It's not a pretty goal. It's not the goal you want to see in Game 6 of a Stanley Cup final. It's not the goal you want to see win the Stanley Cup. It's just not. It's a greasy goal. It's not a fun goal. It's just not. It's fluky, and I hate the fact that we have to lose out on hockey for the next few months because of that goal.
In that scenario, at that angle, he had so little time to get a poke on it because Pekka's going to get his bearings. He's going to recover. He's going to dominate the space. He's going to put whatever he can in between, in the open space between him and the post there. And at that angle, and he just got the slightest little poke on it. That's all I needed.
We move to the Conn Smythe. Sidney Crosby, as I mentioned, winning it. Goes back-to-back for the first time since Mario Lemieux did it. And I don't like this at all. I'm very grumpy about this game tonight for some reason. But I mean, I don't like it. I don't like
least
the
with
call.
this.
He was not the best player. He was not.
Not even
Murray
the top
was
two.
Better. Matt Murray was better. Evgeny Malkin was better.
Yeah, you can say not even the top three.
Jake Gensel was better. Jake Gensel led them in points, in goals or whatever. Evgeny Malkin led him in points. The rookie played better, in my estimation. Yeah. Sid lost some faceoffs. Now, he had some big ones, but he lost some faceoffs. And there's a reason that Matt Cullen was taking that late. That Matt Cullen's taking it when Nashville has pulled the goalie late in the game. Matt Cullen's out there taking the draw, and not Sidney Crosby. Now, should Sid be taking that draw? Absolutely. But he wasn't.
It is egregious. Jake Gensel, in this postseason, one of the best stories in the sport of all time. The fact that he's not even really a rookie in terms of these big-time guys that are going to be there the entire season growing in that manner, but he came up from the AHL. And he led not only this team, the Stanley Cup champion, but the entire NHL in the postseason in goals. And he doesn't win.
A kid from Nebraska. It's just an amazing story. All right, so did we determine whether this game was bad or not? The ending to this hockey, the ending to the hockey season.
Fluky at the very least.
I think so. Yeah.
It's too bad.
We move then to the NBA. Why is America so intrigued with round 3? We got a couple of bullet points down here. We'll shuffle through them, give you the opinions and whatnot. LeBron attracts that attention for good and bad. People tune in to see him succeed, for those that like him, and then there are many that watch just to see him fail.
And this is the thing you see with the Cowboys, with the Yankees, especially with Duke men's basketball. I mean, you have almost
Notre Dame football.
Yeah, almost more people tuning in as detractors to see the loss, to see this degradation on the face of these figures that they dislike, at least these teams, especially with the college exchanges every year, and the professional teams. But yeah, so that's really what gets ratings.
So LeBron is one reason. The idea of a rubber match, the idea of it being round 3, and each team's got a championship, and we're meeting for the third time, and it's the first time in NBA history that these two teams are meeting for a third time in the title game. The TV ratings pretty much verified that. Games 1 and 2 gathered the largest TV audience since the 98 finals, and that guy MJ was playing.
And not only was it MJ involved, but it's who they were playing, the Lakers and Magic there. So you have that play into so many eyes. I cannot believe that this series is even close to that. I mean, the whole deal coming up to this series, this finals in the NBA postseason, was how boring it was. Not only in these tip-top teams sweeping, but the fact that regardless of who's winning these games, it's not down to the wire for the most part. It's huge margins of victory, consequently margins of defeat. I mean, Charles Barkley, that's one of the biggest thing, not only of the NBA postseason in the last couple months, but the NHL one as well, because he is constantly saying how bad the NBA side that he works for is, saying, hey, just go watch the NHL one. It's absurd. I cannot believe the first 2 games were that popular.
Think about this.
I don't like it.
Think about how incredible this is for a moment. In 1998, the internet was not what it is today. The viewing options on cable TV were pretty vast, but they are not what they are today. The amount of distractions people have in their entertainment options are so much greater today than they were almost 20 years ago, 19 years ago now. That's how incredible this statistic is, that Game 1 and Game 2, and I'll remind you, for one team that went 12-0 leading up to the postseason, and the other team went 12-1. And for the most part, as you just mentioned, Charles Barkley saying these playoffs for the NBA have been horrendous. There have not been close games. I think you can count on one hand the amount of close games we have had in this postseason for the NBA. And
then Game 1 and Game 2 did that, and it just kept getting huger and huger in the viewership as it kept going through this series. I don't understand it. It's really hard to put a finger on it because the narrative in this NBA postseason was completely different. It was completely different. And then it was one-sided again going into the finals and through the first few games.
Well, different sometimes can be good, and I think that's what we're learning, is that different here in this case is good.
Yeah, they're looking for that legendary, that extra.
And it is. It definitely is. We've never seen a team like Golden State, and we've never seen, well, I shouldn't say we've never seen what LeBron is doing, but we've never seen a guy like LeBron, a fixture like LeBron, I think. And as we mentioned, just because it's so hated. That to me is
Inexplicably
that
to a
dynamic.
certain degree.
Yeah, I get it. The matchup, this is one that I think people have wanted since the day KD signed with the Warriors. So it goes, it's LeBron, it's the idea of it being a rubber match, and then the matchup itself between this super team that Golden State has and this collection of talent that LeBron James, as the GM, head coach, and star athlete of the Cavaliers, has arranged.
And you could even say that it was even before then where people were counting down the seconds until these two teams played in another NBA Finals from the last NBA Finals, especially the fact with the whole 3-1 lead squandered. That's what you're really seeing with this, if you ask me.
Is the star power drawing eyes in terms of quality or quantity? So is the star power, or I should say and, not even or, and the quality and the quality of the star power. So obviously you have the number of stars you do on Golden State, and you've got two superstars in my mind in Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. Mm. Those are the two superstars of that team. There's only one real superstar. You could argue maybe two with Kyrie. You could argue that. And he is on his way to proving it in this series with how he's played and performed. But really there's one major superstar, and that's LeBron James. But the amount of stars on this team, on these teams, are pretty remarkable. I mean, that's why we're calling them super teams. You know, it's why it's a pattern in the NBA we haven't seen ever with these collections of talent. Kyrie, Love, you got Korver getting traded late, and he's not even the star power, but he's supposed to be the best 3-point shooter. So there's an extreme talent there. And for Golden State, you just run through the roster of guys. So is that what is drawing the eyeballs to this? Is that why it's so intriguing?
Well, even when you think about it, I mean, you have role players, and not just on one team in this tussle, but two teams that have been huge players in other markets that have been all-stars recently. Kyle Korver, all-star recently. David West, a little bit further, but all-star. Darren Williams used to be like a top 3 point guard in terms of notoriety and what he did on the court back when he was playing for the Jazz or the Nets. And these are role players now. I mean, the names are here, especially when you're looking at trying to get in people from a number of different age groups.
I had down here, LeBron tends to overshadow his teammates because he's such a large fixture, not only in the sport of basketball, but in society as well, where the Warriors' star power is kind of more spread out. Where, Steph and KD are big, but they're not the media-friendly moguls, I guess, that LeBron is, if that makes a little sense. I mean, KD will answer questions, but he's certainly not media friendly.
Well, it's his personality
Steph
too.
is to a certain extent, but he's not what LeBron is.
Yeah,
LeBron transcends. This is really the test. You ask your girlfriend, the wife, maybe the mom, who do they know? They know LeBron. And to me, that's the litmus test.
Yeah. I mean, and Riley Curry isn't as big of a, I can't believe I'm saying this, public figure, because she was even younger back then, as she was in the last NBA Finals. Ayesha Curry has kind of fallen off a little bit because, I mean, I don't know if it's Steph telling her or maybe through the organization.
Well, it's just not the story anymore. It's just not.
Oh, yeah. No, it's old news. Like, even her tweets now, people are just like, just shush. Yeah, we don't need that extra. Just add into Steph. Steph has enough on his plate going against LeBron James. But Steph, he's definitely the closest in this series in terms of notoriety, in terms of being a public figure to LeBron, but he's still doing Brita commercials. LeBron is king. I'm not even talking about on the court, but off the court.
He's executive producing television shows on network TV.
I mean, he's got
there's a massive difference there.
There's they have a Warner Brothers group, and he's just cranking out television shows, like you just said. He's like an actual actor now, if you saw Trainwreck. But it's really him and nobody else in terms of both teams, because on his own team, I mean, Uncle Drew, hasn't come out in a video in a long time, so Kyrie Irving isn't what he was maybe a couple years ago. Kevin Love, I think, to a certain degree, was a bigger deal. because he was a bigger fish in a small pond with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then you look at him and Kevin Durant. I mean, LeBron's going to be the new Space Jam. Kevin Durant flop with Thunderstruck, which is just an awful attempt at a Space Jam. Straight to DVD. So.
All right, so we'll break down Game 5, at least give you a bit of a prediction, because if you listen to this on a Tuesday, you already know what the outcome is. We recorded on a Sunday, for full disclosure. Game 5 prediction. Do we have an NBA champion, or are we headed back to Cleveland?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because I want to see as much parity as possible because I think that helps the NBA as a whole, regardless of all these stats about viewership we just broke down for you. But I think it's just too much. It's too much. I mean, this is a super team. A super team put together, not like super teams in the past, which need a little bit more work out of the GM. They're coming up through the quote-unquote system. I think a little bit, even though there was no D-League back then. But I think it's just going to be too tough.
Well, forget the GM. Forget all that. The point is about the star power. You're dead on with that. The point is that the Cavaliers needed a record-setting performance at home in Game 4 to survive the series, to stay afloat. That is the point. That the star power on...
Just to stay afloat.
The star power on Golden State is too much. Plain and simple. Where last year, maybe it wasn't enough, and Cleveland could overcome that 3-1 deficit. But you look around the roster, and Golden State has it from top to bottom. You look around the roster for Cleveland, it's just not enough. It's just not there.
There's too many old pieces that are notable pieces, but old pieces that aren't helping as much to the depth that you're seeing a lot of times with the Golden State side of things. Super team. Hey, Chris Paul wasn't allowed to go to the Lakers. I'm not sure this is good for the NBA if this is what it's become.
Why is America so intrigued by the Cavs-Warriors round 3? We'll ask FOTS, friend of the show, Matt Hauswirth, around the break. We're going to continue to break down the NBA Finals on this Sunday, Monday night-ish type thing. TBD rolling on.
Back here on TBD. That's what I do when I didn't write anything for this. So we are back here on To Be Determined. To Be Determined is if I can make that better next time.
You didn't want to go the traditional, I'm me, you're you. Hope you listened to the first part of this podcast.
He's heard that enough.
You did it last week for Beauvais, and Beauvais was a repeat offender.
That's very true.
All right, well, spoiler alert, although you already found it on the A block, we're bringing back FOTS, friend of the show, Matt Hauswirth of CNY Central. It's at @MattHaus_CNY, right? The Twitter?
Yes, sir, you got it.
What's going on tonight, brother?
Not much. It's been a few weeks.
It has been a little while.
Yeah.
We are excited to have you back on. Before it was talking, I believe it was with Jim Boeheim was the last, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was. It
So
was right around March Madness, I think.
Which was crazy stuff at the time. Yeah, we did. We talked a little March Madness, little Jim Boeheim, whatnot. So back to talk some more hoops. And the big one, obviously, the NBA Finals going on. So Hawes a hoops fan of sorts, and we'll show some highlights from time to time on CNY Central. So we figured, hey, let's get another reporter's opinion on...
He knows what up.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
All right. One of the questions, actually the question we talked about at the beginning of the show was, why is this series so intriguing? So I'll pose that same question to you.
Well, I think it's intriguing, first and foremost, because it's the third time these teams have played in as many years. I mean, that's incredible when you think about it. But when you also listen to talk radio, you're constantly hearing that the NBA is a damaged product. And if you ask me, I believe it is. I mean, how many games do you watch on a nightly basis that just have zero importance because at the end of the year it's going to be Golden State and Cleveland. So, it's just, it's struggling in that regard. But once we do get to this finals, we certainly are in for a treat. With that said, Golden State added Kevin Durant, Cleveland added nobody. So I think that's going to be the difference. And clearly we've seen that so far. It took a miracle effort by the Cavaliers, to hit a bunch of threes in that first half. I believe they had 49 points in the first quarter alone in Game 5, which was incredible. So it's going to take a minor miracle, or a major miracle, should I say, for Cleveland to win this.
It's crazy the records they broke in that first half. It was for first quarter points and then first half points with 86. That's insane.
And it's so hard to go around and get another record-breaking performance like that, especially one with so many records within it? Will they have that same thing going for them, that same kind of performance in them next time out the Cavaliers?
Oh, I don't see it. I mean, that's kind of the question. Do you see Cleveland playing the same way on the road at Golden State? And there's something about that arena. I mean, it's an older arena. I believe they're currently building the new one in San Francisco, which won't be ready for a couple of years. But this arena just gets loud. It's almost like they got another player on the court. And I just do not see Cleveland repeating that performance. However, if there is one team that could go into Golden State and win, it is the Cleveland Cavaliers because of the sole fact that they have LeBron James. It seems like for some reason when this team has their back against the wall, they just find a way. And I would not ever count out LeBron James. I don't think it's a done deal that Golden State will win this next game, but Golden State better win this next game, because if they don't, then it goes back to Cleveland. You know that's going to be rocking up there. Yeah. They're going to probably win that game, and then it'll be back at 7 again. It's crazy how you think of these 7-game series, and when you break it down one game at a time, it's like, well, wait a minute, they do have a chance. So you just got to get past that next game.
It's crazy to think that it was 3-0, and everyone's ready for the sweep, and now we're figuring out scenarios in our head to like justify the Cavs making a comeback here. So if that happens, if the Cavs were to make this comeback, what's the best way to attack Golden State? Is it with LeBron just going off and controlling the basketball, or is it better, or are the Cavs better if he's just a piece of that puzzle?
It can't be the LeBron James show. It's got to be multiple players. You got to get Kyrie involved. You got to get Kevin Love involved. Remember, Kevin Love's supposed to be that third star. And a lot of the time this season, anyway, it's been just LeBron and Kyrie doing everything. Yeah. And Kevin Love's almost been kind of on an island. But the games where Kevin Love has been great, the Cavaliers have been great. So LeBron, needs to continue the way he plays as a facilitator. But he's got to remember that, when the game's on the line, I believe in Game 4, he passed up a shot to Kyle Korver.
Yeah.
You got to take that shot, LeBron. I'm sure he's listening, so he's listening to me right now. But anyway,
we'll get back to him. Don't worry.
Bulletin board material.
Right, yeah, exactly. He's got to take that shot. But at the same time, I think they have to spread the ball around. But man, it is a tall task to win at Golden State, especially with Durant the way he's playing. And I believe that's going to be either your next question or the question after that about MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who would you say is the MVP so far, or who do you think will be at the end of it in terms of, regardless of this outcome?
Kevin Durant. He's been on a completely another level. He's played this whole season trying to, get back at the naysayers, the people who said, he's weak for going to a team that beat him last year. And, listen, it was not a popular move for him to go out there. And to me, the inner fan inside of me doesn't want to see that happen. I think that's mainly because I'm such a big Russell Westbrook fan. But, Kevin Durant just kind of saw the writing on the wall. He thought, this is just the furthest we're going to get. Golden State has, a great core group of players. And I thought it was actually really important that LeBron James pointed out after the Game 4 loss, not Game 4, excuse me, Game 3 loss where they went down 3-0 in this series. He said, he wanted to clarify the biggest difference between when he went to Miami and when Durant went to Golden State. He said, when he went to Miami, they were building something. Him, Wade, and Bosh were building something. Durant went to Golden State, and it was already a finished product. Golden State was already in the finals back-to-back years. So that was the biggest difference. And I think that's LeBron's way of trying to get his point across without actually coming out and barking and banging on his chest. It's just his way of kind of throwing a slight jab out there saying, hey, buddy, listen, when I did it, we kind of started our new thing. You did it, and they already had a finished product.
That's an interesting point. That is an interesting little nugget. I think that gets lost in the shuffle because we all attribute the mega teams or super teams, whatever you want to call it, to LeBron James and that run down to South Beach, taking his talents south. Where does the pressure lie in this series, Haus? Cavs go down 0-3. They do get a win at home. Now the series transitions back to Oakland. and the Warriors, the Warriors have a chance to win this on their home court. Where does the pressure lie?
I think the pressure is still on Cleveland. Man, when you go down 3-0 to perhaps the greatest offensive team the NBA has ever seen, that is a massive hole. But remember, they were down 3-1 last year, and they did it. But the only thing I'll say to combat that is that they didn't do it with Kevin Durant on the floor, too. It's
top 3 player.
Much different animal. And, if LeBron James is able to pull off this win in Game 5, that might be the biggest win he's ever had in his career, because I don't know how on earth it happens, but never say never. There's always a slight chance, and I think if LeBron James, if anybody can do it, it's obviously LeBron James.
I think it's interesting you say Golden State, because I don't know, for me, guys, to me the pressure is all on Golden State. I think you've got this lead because you brought in KD. People expected you to kind of go faux, and sweep this entire thing. So
Pronounce 4.
Okay, sorry. It's interesting though.
All right, prediction time. Who you got in this next game?
I got Golden State, but I think this one's actually going to be a close one, as opposed to the first 2 games of the series where, the Warriors won handily. It wasn't even really a game. And I think that's been the problem with this NBA postseason. There haven't been many close games. I believe the best series was probably Boston and Washington. Those 2 teams played a terrific series. But other than that, I just think, I expected more out of this series. I expected it to be either tied 2-2 or, I didn't expect a 3-0 lead.
Even closer games, just more competitive games.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Warriors, they get in front of that home crowd, and it's almost like the special ingredient. They just hit every shot, and it's like, man, it's almost it's fun basketball to watch, obviously, when every shot goes in. But
sure.
Man, at the same time, the other team just has no chance whatsoever.
Matt Hauswirth of CNY Central in the greater Syracuse area. They cover as I mentioned, greater Syracuse area. I don't know why I'm repeating myself there. That's bad radio. So Haus also covers a bit of hockey, a spot of hockey, the Always Hungry League. Syracuse, the Crunch in the Calder Cup final, taking on Grand Rapids. The Griffins up 3-2 right now in terms of games over the Crunch, and it's headed back to Michigan. Give us a little update on how the Crunch are doing.
Yeah, 3-2 series lead for Grand Rapids. The Crunch had their back against the wall the other night in Game 5 from the War Memorial. They were down 3-1. The Calder Cup trophy was in the house. Grand Rapids won. They will be celebrating on Syracuse home ice again for the second time in 4 years, which is what happened back in 2013. So I think Syracuse had a lot of motivation to not allow that to happen again and to bring the series back to Grand Rapids. And what happened? They scored 5 goals in the first period. So
that's amazing.
That they tied the record for the Calder Cup Finals for scoring 5 goals in 1 period, which was just incredible. The first goal came 17 seconds in. So
wow.
It was they came out swinging. That's the best way to put it, and they weren't going down. So they won that game 5-1. I will mention this. Actually, Nico Tamurian, my coworker at CNY Central, was saying during Ben Grew's post-game press conference, the head coach for the Crunch, he actually just out of nowhere mentioned that during games 1 and 2 in Grand Rapids, that he was led to believe that at least half the team was suffering from the flu.
Oh, wow.
Which is something that
really?
Nobody ever knew until last night.
Wow.
So that was quite the revelation. It was just like, wait, what?
And how's the health now?
Good now. He said everyone feels great now. But when you go back to game 1 and 2, they were both 1-goal games. The first game, it was game 1 of this series. It was tied 2-2. And Grand Rapids went on the power play with a minute left, and they scored with 13 seconds left in the game and won it 3-2. So talk about holding on by the skin of your teeth. Then in game 2, they went to double overtime, and that's when Grand Rapids scored the game winner in double overtime. So those 2 games out in Michigan were very, very close, like razor-thin margin. So, obviously, a lot of people don't expect for the coach to kind of blame it on a sickness,
sure.
especially a week after the fact that it happened. But it was odd timing. But maybe he's right. Maybe a few guys were suffering from some sickness. But regardless, they have to win Game 6, or else the series is over.
Give us the prediction on this one, then. We might as well. We're going to the business of predictions. It seems like Syracuse has a lot of momentum right now.
Yeah, no, they do. And especially, it was sold out all 3 nights at the War Memorial. A lot of fan support. The Tampa Bay Lightning front office was in the house for all the games. Stevie Yzerman was at the game.
Very nice.
John Cooper, the head coach, was at the game.
Former Syracuse
Crunch head
backing.
Coach. That's right. They have the backing of their parent club. And it's nice to see the star power come out to these minor league games. And, these guys are essentially playing at this level with the hope of playing in the NHL, getting that call up to the Lightning. And, that's why they play. That's why they play so hard. That's the beauty of minor league sports. So I think this team kind of has a renewed sense of energy, especially after scoring 5 goals in 1 period. And they got a lot of confidence going in there. And they have even more confidence knowing that these first 2 games out there were very tight. So I'd expect another close game. And Mike McKenna, the goalie for the Crunch, has been playing out of his mind. He's a veteran goalie. He's 34 years old. He's played for so many different teams, whether it's NHL or AHL. And the guy just has been terrific this postseason. So I would expect no less. I think it's going to go down to the wire. My gut tells me Grand Rapids is going to win because they're at home. And Grand Rapids has yet to lose a game in the playoffs at home.
Wow.
So my gut tells me that, but for some reason I'm just, after watching last night's game with the Crunch, I like their chances. I really do.
Very good.
So getting away from hockey and basketball a little bit now, it's the Final 5. We've had you on before, so the first one, West Virginia is the alma mater, so we're going to go right to number 2.
And OCC.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
I can rock.
Go Lasers. I tell them all the time, go Lasers.
Yeah.
So number 2 now, we're going to start with this. What was your best Halloween costume?
Let's see. Halloween costume. Man, you know what? I never really got too crazy dressed up for Halloween.
How about as a kid? Do you remember a favorite as a kid?
Man, as a kid, man, I'm drawing a blank.
We really got to workshop these Final
what's it
5
called?
questions.
Oh, God. There was one year I was Gumby. Is that
Yes, that's a great
Absolutely.
answer. Yeah. That's a great answer.
Gumby. I was Gumby one year. I think it was like, God, I was probably in like 3rd or 4th grade. I was a little guy.
I'm going to go that you were a sophomore in college, and we'll leave it at
that. Don't you lie to us.
That would make sense.
All right, buddy. Which actor would play you in a movie? The story of Matt Hauswirth. Who's playing him?
Jim Carrey.
Oh, that's not bad.
I like that.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right.
Jim Carrey's a good one. He's Jim Carrey's a personality and a half. And very outspoken in every movie he's in. I mean, there have been a few movies where he's been kind of serious, but most times he's just the funny guy. So,
right, number 4, favorite beer.
It's got to be a seasonal. The Sam Adams Oktoberfest. That's my favorite.
I think he said that last time, so he's consistent.
Yes.
Yeah,
which is good.
It's good. It's good.
But the Corona, I love Coronas in the summer. You can't beat Coronas.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
In the new cans? Well, newish.
Oh, yeah.
But
I did see those once. But you can't Blue Moon too. I mean, those died. Blue Moon's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's
Could
not
have
bad.
a little citrus with it.
There you go.
A little produce with it.
It's a little produce. It's not sweet enough. All right, bud. Where can we find your stuff on the internet? Where can we get you on Twitter? All that jazz.
Yeah, Twitter handle is at Matt Haus. That's HAUS_CNY. I got my Facebook page. Just look up my name, Matt Hauswirth, CNY Central. And all of our stories are posted to our website, cnycentral.com. Just click under the sports tab. And, man, busy weekend, especially for high school sports in our area at least. Section 3, we had a lot of high school teams playing for state championships. Unfortunately, Trabs, your Section 5 teams beat the crap out of some of our teams. So, it's an unfortunate thing, but it happens sometimes.
Yep.
It was a fun weekend for it. All right, Matt Hauswirth, the CNY Central. We appreciate the time, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys. See you.
All right, round the bump music here. Headed to some segments, C block. The number this week, 127. Why is it 127? You'll find out after the bump music. And I went through the drive-thru this week, and it was not a very good experience. I'll fill in the details after this.
This is a sentence bringing us back from break because it's the B block, and this is to be determined. Oh, God, it's the C block. I saw B-side story, which is our first segment of this block, and I just went with it.
Oh, Maddie. Not all mistakes created equal. That one a little better than the rest, if I'm honest.
Jeez.
That was
Meet Louise.
That was pretty good. C block.
I'm sad.
Always time for some segments. At Sports by Bond with at Trabs Matt, Stephen Bond with Matt Traybold. The show, episode 15 of To Be Determined. On Twitter, you can find us at TBD_show. Shoot us a follow if you would. We appreciate it.
And if you're new to the show and you don't quite know the voices yet, the person that brought us back from break is no other than Stephen Bond.
Nice try.
No, it's me. It's me, at Trabs Matt.
All right. So, as you got confused with B-side
That's
story,
an appropriate term.
We'll go to that first. Little coverage covfefe problem we have here on To Be Determined.
No, you can't say both because they're the same thing regardless of what they want to say.
Okay. Nats ace Max Scherzer tallying strikeout number 2,000 of his career. Got it Sunday against the Texas Rangers. Scherzer ties the record for the third fastest to 2,000 Ks. Only Pedro Martinez and Randy Johnson needed fewer innings. Scherzer getting it done in 287 games. 32-year-old has finished in the top 5 of the Cy Young Award voting, the past 4 seasons. Scherzer, of course, well known for his pitching, but also for swimming with sharks, having 2 different colored eyes, and, of course, that intensely competitive personality.
I just can't get it out of my head. So 2 starts ago now, and I was watching the highlights of it, and he's doing so well.
Yeah.
But he's just, I guess, zooming on his face. He's just like,
perfect timing.
And he's
a madman. He's an absolute
He's a crazy
madman.
person. I remember
just dropping F-bombs to himself on the mound.
So for my other job, working for WHAM in Rochester.
Right.
So Pete Rose making minor league appearances because he can't be at the major league ballpark. So he's there at Frontier Field where the Rochester Red Wings play, and he's talking to the media, and he's just going off just kind of randomly about how Max Scherzer, and no one is asking about Max Scherzer. Why would they? Because
Right.
that's not really
There's
something
no connection.
you think of with the Pete Rose. Just both of them, just 2 crazy people, and he's just talking about how he's this big-time pitcher. He's got a bunch of money on the line, but he just loves those Sharks. And it's just
amazing that Pete Rose, to be talking about that, is like
couple
the
psychopaths
Bermuda
right there.
Triangle of baseball.
Couple psychopaths, and I'm a psychopath as well. So it's 3 in the key, whatever that means.
Only 16 members of the 3,000 strikeout club, and Scherzer well on his way.
Yeah.
CC Sabathia is the only active pitcher that is close to 3,000 Ks. 80 now have reached the 2,000 K mark, for those wondering at home.
He was rocking some longevity now. He's tapered off here and there, but he's had some quality starts this season. CC Sabathia.
Okay, all right. I'm just checking.
Clarence Cedric. I guess I made that up. I have
I'm
no
not
idea
sure
if
that's it at all, but maybe it is.
I'm going to have to look it up for later, I'm pretty sure.
You're going to have to.
Just for me. That one's for me.
Right. Interesting little B-side story, though. So Scherzer, obviously, the B-side story is that he's reached 2 and probably well on his way to 3 despite being 32 years old, because he doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon.
And it's impressive he's done it with multiple teams, kind of like what Randy Johnson did when he went to the Yankees a little bit later in his career. Very impressive to keep that up in more than one ballpark in terms of your home ballpark.
Let's go to by the numbers. This one, very interesting. The number this week is 127, as in the number of dollars Cavs guard Dante Jones will make this season. Jones signed the Veteran League minimum deal on the final day of the regular season for $9,127. But Mr. Jones has had quite the expensive offseason. Jones has picked up $9,000 in fines. $6,000 when Jones was ejected in round 2 against the Raptors. $3,000 came in game 4 when Jones picked up a technical foul on the bench. Wasn't even in the game, just jawing with Kevin Durant. Picked up a technical foul. So for those counting along at home, Jones has been fined a total of $9,000, meaning for his time this season, Jones going to net, yes, $127 for the regular season game and this postseason run.
And I don't care how many games he's going to end up playing this season by the end. That is so low. It's a professional athlete.
Making $127.
Even if it was 90,000, that's probably low on the low side of the spectrum too, but 9,127, that's still crazy low.
If the series ends on Monday, if it ended on Monday and you're listening to this on a Tuesday, we'll go back through the following week and hopefully episode 16 and follow up on this story and figure out exactly how many games he played or dressed for and what that equates in terms of dollars. Now, LeBron did say that he was going to cover his $6,000 fine. No word yet if he's going to cover the 3, but still. Honestly, LeBron shouldn't because this is hilarious in my mind.
Can't get over. That's a crazy. This is maybe one of my favorite segments in terms of by the numbers because that's absurd. I cannot wrap my head around it. And I'm not sure he should have been given those technicals in that last one, but he really went in on some chirping. He's gonna hurt his neck that way. He was really going in with the jaw jets.
And you don't know what he said, so obviously whatever he did say is what earned him the technical.
Yeah,
with KD. And listen, if you're gonna jaw with a
lips.
superstar, you're not gonna get the call. If you're not a superstar, you're not getting the call. So
Forks, that's how the league goes. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is. That's how that league goes. But unfortunately, you got to realize your place and probably not the smartest thing to do. How do you pick up a technical when you're not even in the game?
It's pretty.
It's
it just
insane.
adds to the hilarity of Dante Jones not being the most prestigious of NBA players.
He gets a technical not in the game, but somehow Draymond Green didn't get a technical later. It vanished. It all of a sudden made its way to Steve Kerr. So if you're a superstar or at least a star in the league, you could transfer your technical. If you're a nobody making league minimum, you're going to get called for it every time.
So when we were looking up stuff for this segment, we went to one of those sketchy celebrity net worth websites. $10 million. And then we're like, well, he's old, but it can't be that old. I mean, hopefully it evens itself out a little bit. He's been playing for almost a decade and a half.
Yeah, what's it? 03, 04 was like his first year somewhere in there?
Yeah. I think it was
amazing.
One of those numbers. It was definitely a number.
Somewhere down in the lower aughts.
Aughts?
00s. Early 2000s. The aughts. Just another way to say it. I mean, you're one with phrases. I figured you'd know that one.
Auteurs.
All right, so the number this week, 127.
Homie messes with zoos. I'll mess around a zoo.
127.
I'm just talking about zoos over here and otters and just marine life in general, okay?
That has nothing to do with the story. Nothing
Not
to do with
a
the story.
thing.
All right, we move to Get Off My Lawn.
No, I won't. Can't make me.
Dunkin' Donuts, you can get off my lawn. Driving through, normally I don't name companies, and I don't like to.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor. But if they'd like to sponsor, we'll erase this segment. Went to the drive-thru that day, and they have come out with some sort of new frozen coffee thing. And it's been rather hot in upstate New York where we tape the podcast. So I figured, hey, there's no point in getting a hot coffee, which I normally drink. I'm going to get the new iced whatever the heck it is.
Mocha, Chepa,
It was like a frozen
Copa,
slushy
Mino.
coffee type thing.
Yeah, no, that's what I just said.
So I asked the guy that was working the drive-thru, what can you get that in? Is it regular decaf? You can get in whatever. And he said, do you want a flavor shot in that? And I'm not a big flavor shot guy normally. I take my coffee black. I don't do cream. I don't do sugar. Straight up, just coffee. That's it. That's the way I like it. But, again, this is a frozen drink. It's a little different. And when he suggested flavors, which I've never ordered before, not once have I ever ordered
I have no idea
flavors.
what that is, yeah.
I thought, hey, yeah, what kind of flavors do you have? I say to the guy. He says in response, and I'm quoting here, all the flavors.
Yeah, okay.
All the flavors. What does that mean? No, what I'm looking for is a list of flavors.
You know, like say beef stroganoff or like wasabi pea. Like
exactly. That's what I want.
All the flavors. It doesn't have to be a food item. Just rusty nail. Like, what's that even mean? That could be anything. That could be anything.
How do you go to order something? And listen, as you look on the board that they have, I'm sure their flavors are listed somewhere on there. I'm positive of this. They have to be listed on there somewhere. But there's a million things listed on that drive-through board. I don't have time. With the pressure of 4 cars behind you, you don't have time to scroll through there because you know what the car behind you is thinking. What's this guy ordering? Why is he taking so long?
Yeah, they think it's on you.
They think it's on me. But it's not on me. It's on the guy giving me the all the flavors response.
I'm just going to skirt a little bit here. You mentioned how hot it's been. It has been crazy hot recently. On the drive here, oh my gosh. So I had just a sneeze come out of nowhere. I'm going to be dropping a little story morsel on you here. And couldn't stop it. Had no idea where it went. Usually I can see it. It's just grossly hanging.
So wait a minute. This was a thick sneeze?
Oh, it had some meat to it.
Okay.
And usually I could see it, like it's a nice meaty dollop of it coming off the steering wheel or something. I have no idea where it is. And within like 10 minutes, it dried. It had to dry because it's so hot right now. I'm pretty sure it's got to be in the Carfax at this point. Because it's too hot.
To be reported.
Because I don't know where it went. I don't know if it's on my person somewhere.
It's equivalent to the accident?
This sad beard somewhere in there, but I would have known if it was my sad beard.
So a pair of get off my lawn moments.
just heat in general. I do not like the
sun,
heat.
get off my lawn.
Do not like the sun or heat. Two NBA teams down.
I don't know what to make of the drive-through thing. It just sort of it caught me off guard. The drive-through,
all the flavors.
It's supposed to be it's supposed to be convenient. That's the idea of the drive-through, is convenience.
Like, maybe my favorite stand-up special of all time was Dane Cook, Harmful if Swallowed. And he kind of went downhill from there. And he has the bit about how he had a waitress that was not liking the fact that he was offering up a couple not suggestions, but something he didn't want on his sandwich. He cuts her off, or she cuts him off, says, "What don't you want in the sandwich?" He's like, "Well, don't want any alloys. I don't want any foliage." Yes, that's how it is. You can say all the flavors.
So I panicked and just said, "I'll have it regular," and drove ahead.
Boo this man.
Boo!
Did you get name tag?
What I should have said is something ridiculous, like you said, like wasabi. I'll have wasabi.
Yeah.
But then if they had it, then I would have been screwed because
this is awful. But thank you for offering it up.
I for life, I just don't. What are we doing back there, bud?
It's like milky eye. Like, it could be anything. That's a gross flavor. That's not a good flavor.
That's not a good flavor at all. All right, so Dunkin' Donuts drive-through guy, get off my lawn.
And the heat and the sun.
And the heat and the sun. Get off Maddie's lawn. It has been hot.
Unacceptable.
It has been hot.
I'm very fair-skinned. I'm very white.
Oh, good God. Okay, we're going to breeze right past that. On to Twitter takes. Des Bryant openly recruiting free agent cornerback Darrelle Revis, tweeting out at Revis24, Dallas, ? I promise you are going to love what we got going on around here. Your attitude fits our culture. Waiting. Ellipses. End tweet. So the 31-year-old released by the Jets on March 9th. The rumors are emerging about his, and really it's speculation, rumors.
Yeah.
Fact almost at this time.
Whispering sweet nothings.
About, not that. About Revis Island's decline and really his commitment level. Maybe that's where the rumors come into this whole thing.
Yeah.
The Cowboys ranked 26th in the league in passing yards that they gave up per game. Was like 260 yards per game. So this social media appears to be, this idea of recruiting over social media appears to be the way that players are going about it now. And we learned that from the Buffalo Bills and Shady McCoy calling up his guy Jeremy Maclin. And then while Maclin taking a visit, Shady takes to Instagram.
Hey, do it for the Vine. Do it for the gram. But going back to the Cowboys aspect of this, come on. In the NFL, it's going to be pretty easy to get a guy's cell phone number. He's not even DMing him.
Right? In any league.
Yeah. Because, geez, a lot of these kids in high school are at a bunch of summer events or something like that, 7-on-7 ball. I'm not sure if it was back because Darrelle was just getting kind of old. So I don't know if they had 7-on-7 ball back then. But really, you can't even just DM the guy. You have to just blow up his spot with just a regular tweet. Come on, dude.
Well, and do you really want to go down that path? they did draft a couple of guys.
It's embarrassing.
At cornerback, and I think they signed a couple of free agents. So college free agents, I think they signed.
Yeah,
the Cowboys
much
did.
younger guys.
It's a area of concern for Dallas, no doubt. But is that the route you want to go with a aging Darrelle Revis, a guy that maybe isn't as committed to football, has had some trouble off the field?
Been a couple rough ones here.
I mean, when it was good, it was as good as you saw with Darrelle Revis.
I don't know if you know this, but
last year it was not.
He was so good on one-on-one defensive back play that they called him Revis Island.
Okay, well, I said that earlier.
Oh, you did? Oh,
And
shoot.
You interrupted me to say that. Good God. Matthew Sedgwick
This is not even like
Trable.
like,
I don't know what your middle
like
name is.
actress, like thespian Kira Sedgwick.
I don't know what your middle name
of
is.
the closer. That's my middle name, Sedgwick.
I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I'll be honest with you.
God, you're magnificent.
Well, let's talk about $10 T Club for a second here.
Do what you want.
Online shopping to me is the way to go.
I do a lot
It's quick,
of it.
it's easy, and for clothes, I'm not a big clothes shopper. I like simple stuff. I like plain stuff. I like to get in. I like to get out. Be done with it. Save some time. That's where $10 T Club comes in my life, at least. I can go on. I can order great-looking tees, very reasonably priced. I'm not paying $40 and $50 for these things. They live up to the name. They're $10. They start at 10. Some are a little more expensive, but you're under $20. And that's pretty amazing for a T-shirt company in this day and age when they're all raking in millions because they put a brand on it, because they put a logo on it, you know? So the guys at $10 T Club have hooked me up. They're going to hook you up to head over to $10 T Club, and it's the number 10, the word dollar, TEE club.com. Use the promo code TBD. Save yourself 15%. I mean, 50% off, 15% off of $10. It's a ridiculous deal. Get a big first order. Use that promo code TBD. These shirts are stylish. They're comfortable. Everything you want in a T-shirt.
And put the savings on your body. I mean, how could you not?
Great way to say it.
And, hey, Father's Day, right around the corner.
There you go.
This time next week when we're recording, at least, you know who likes?
Tees.
I keep mentioning that they like butter. I've touched yours. Oh, wow, okay.
Okay, all right, now easy
I've touched your $10 tees, and they're like butter.
Just say a $10 tee.
And you know who likes butter clothing? Everybody. You know who's part of everybody? Fathers.
Okay.
There you go. It's full circle right
Look
there.
at you just selling this product. Just selling that product, Matthew Trable.
Little product sales, you're saying?
Maybe you get into sales after this. I don't know. Maybe. You're better at this thing. Got to make sure the fader's up on the on the mixing board. And you hit the right music. I don't want to give us the wrong music, so we'll get the bump music. Around the corner, a couple of bro tips with our bro on some Brotein. Jimmy Wheels, James Whalen, in next to talk about, yes, how do we pick a protein?
Wheels. Hey now, hey you, hey me, hey us. We're back here on To Be Determined.
At Sports by Bond with @TrabsMatt. James doesn't have a Twitter. Last I checked. No Twitter so we're going to make one up, @James Whalen. I don't know who that is on Twitter, but...
Well, we got to make sure it's available.
What's the Instagram then?
There's probably someone named with that name.
There's got to be. What's the Instagram then?
The Instagram is James_Whalen.
There it is, but no @ from what I've been told.
Yeah.
Instagram, yeah, I don't know.
We can't.
I think you include an @
All right.
but I don't know.
There we go. Yeah. I started doing the @ then I stopped, then we started, so we'll go with it. We'll go with there is an @ We're going back to it. We're back. We're team @ now. All right, James Whalen, the health and fitness guru of To Be Determined, but his day job isn't appropriate, but 9 to 5, I guess, is the typical term. He's a CrossFit coach, CrossFit extraordinaire. He is the owner and founder and president and whatever other title you want to throw on there of ResilienceNutrition.co. Is that everything, James?
Yes,
All right.
that is all. If you want to just include my day job.
It's a lengthy, just his day job. And he's a handsome devil in his off time now. We bring James on to help us whip our rear ends in shape and give us some tips on health, nutrition, fitness, the whole 9 yards, because he really is a jack of all trades. I won't even say master of none because he's a master of a lot of things. So, this week, James, we're talking protein powder. And this is an interesting topic. So if you throw protein powder into the old Google search, you get a million different things. There are a million different proteins out there. So I wanted to try to help the listeners, ourselves, kind of narrow this thing down. How do we shuffle through all this clutter in choosing that protein? What are some of the basics that we should try to identify in a good protein powder?
So some of the basics for sure, and as you said, you could just put protein powder into Google and you'll get like a million hits. And there's so many different articles and brands. The supplement industry is huge. So trying to find like which one is the best, I think it really just comes down to which one is the best for you, not per se which one will give me like the best results. I say that because in reality, most of them are basically the same. They all contain a protein component, a carbohydrate component, and then they all usually have some type of fat in it. Some are higher in fat, some are lower in fat. You'll typically see like the mass gainers have more fat because they provide more calories per serving. But they're all typically about the same in their makeup. They just have like these fancy terms like hydrolyzed or like whey isolate, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Those really refer to just a higher amount of protein or like amount of protein per weight or per ounce. So, but when looking at for protein, I like to look into 3 different things: the type of protein, the price point, and then also the flavor. I feel like flavor is a big one.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Right? So, I mean, going off the first one, the type of protein. So typically one that everyone has heard of is whey protein, right?
Yeah.
So whey is a derivative of dairy or milk. So it's one of the proteins found in milk. And then its counterpart is casein.
Okay.
So whey is a fast dissolving protein, and that's why it's typically seen in protein powders. It's easily digested, easily absorbed. And typically you'll see that in the protein powders just because it's such a great protein. For the casein protein, though, it is a more slower digesting protein. So we see these in, I think, a couple brands. They have it in like a nighttime shake, right? Have you guys seen any of those?
Yeah, so like, is that the benefit of a casein?
So the casein, since casein is longer digesting, they market it as either like you could take it, before bed or when you're not going to be doing something for an extended amount of time. So like it usually, depending on the amount, it usually takes about 4 to 6 hours for it to digest completely. So you could be receiving or getting a protein load for that extended amount of time.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, and then the other counterpart to that is, we obviously have people who are vegetarian or vegans and they don't like those. They don't like, animal products, or they don't consume animal products. Sure. So there's also vegetarian options on the market. There is egg-based protein powders, and there's also like pea-based protein powders, hemp-based protein powders.
Okay.
There's a bunch. Yeah, and there's options for vegetarians and for, us meat eaters or animal lovers, whatever you want to call it.
Everybody likes to save money. How much should you be budgeting for protein?
So that can be a tricky option. It kind of depends on the person. Like you said, you could spend upwards of $90 on a protein supplement. Typically, it's pretty wild, the price point. Typically, you'll see protein priced from anywhere from like $50 to about $80 to $90, upwards of $80 to $90. And typically, you'll get 60 servings in if you buy that tub, it's about 60 servings. They have larger bags, like they have 10-pound bags. Like myself personally, like I buy a 10-pound bag of protein off of Amazon. It's get a little discount. It's nice, but
little Prime.
You gotta have the Prime there, right?
Yeah, you got to utilize that Prime for that Prime account.
Not a sponsor,
but
that's all right.
yeah, but typically they can run anywhere from $50 to about $90. And just because a protein is more expensive does not mean it is better.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
an important thing. Yep.
All right, so how do we identify then? Are there like, is there something we should look for, like on the label, I guess, to identify a good protein? Is there an equation to all this?
I mean, I guess my equation would be those three things. So the last thing that we didn't talk about was the flavor.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say like if you look on the ingredients label, you're looking for like a certain ingredient that is like the master ingredient. I would put those three things that we just talked about, the type of protein, the price point, and then the flavor, because some proteins can taste better than others. Some are like very chalky tasting because it's a powder. And then some are actually like really creamy and delicious. I'm a chocolate guy, so I love chocolate. Like it's like a chocolate milkshake basically.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say there isn't a master ingredient. Each protein powder is gonna contain basically the same. It's gonna be comprised of amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein. So you might see like the term BCAAs. That just stands for branched chain amino acids, and those are just certain types of amino acids that are branch chained. And they are like, more associated with muscle building and fat loss and stuff like that. So certain products will market them and in their protein powders, and since they market them, they jack up the price. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's better than another product on the shelf.
Are we better off buying BCAAs, those types of products, separate from a protein powder, or would you try to get something that combines it?
I would honestly, from my professional dietetic education, I would honestly just buy a simple, not super expensive whey protein, and then just try to get your proteins from other food sources like protein food. So any animal-derived food, eggs, dairy, meats, chicken, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You can also get plenty of protein from vegetables like beans. You can get them from legumes and nuts. So you're going to get a good mix of them if you're just, getting a good variety of food sources. So I wouldn't necessarily go straight to the powders and the supplements and the pills because you can get a good coverage of protein from your food and then in addition to like a whey protein powder.
Now, you went into this a little bit with the casein, but what are the best times of the day to be taking protein?
The best times of the day to be taking protein would be either before, during, or after your workout, or all three. So typically you want to do like a carb and protein either shake or little snack before your workout to kind of fuel that workout. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times people will do it, they call it like intra loading, and that just means like during your workout, just to kind of keep that the energy in there and the stores in there. And then you'll see people take like a post-workout shake. So I would say those are like the most important times of the day if you're going to the gym to take it. If you are just an active person, if you're not like actively like setting aside a time to go to the gym and you're just active throughout the day, I would say anytime. You should be consuming protein at each meal because it'll provide a feeling of satiety or fullness. So you won't like feel full or you won't feel hungry in about like 30 minutes. You'll feel full for a little bit before you want something else.
Is there a window after we work out? I feel like there's maybe a misnomer about if you don't do it in the first 30 minutes, then you've missed that window or whatever.
There's some research it's called like nutrient timing. There's some research out there saying like what is the ideal time to like consume protein and carbs post workout, and I think some of the research kind of is conflicting. Typically, you want to try to get in your carbs and protein post workout, maybe like as soon as you can. But to say that like if you miss the 30-minute window, you lose all the gains that you might have made. I don't really necessarily believe that just because of the conflicting research. But I think it's smart for you to try to get some carbs and protein before and then after your workout.
So how much protein is too much protein, or is that like even a thing in this world?
It's definitely a thing. Research has kind of, the old standard for people was they would recommend about 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So that's like how much the Dietetic Association recommends for an average person. However, new research has found that for a person who is athletic or is very active and requires a lot of muscle mass or wants to build more muscle mass, they are definitely going to require more than 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram. So you'll see athletes take and consume upwards of like 2.0 grams per kilogram of body weight.
Wow.
You'll see especially like strength athletes, or like if you consider like the strongmen, they're consuming upwards of like 4, 5, 6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. They're also consuming like 10,000 calories a day, which is absolutely absurd. But to each their own. There isn't, for an average day person, I would say, trying to consume about 0.8 or 1 gram of protein per pound, or it would be 0.8 grams per kilogram if you want to go between the metric and the the pound system. But
that's too much math for me.
Yeah, too much math. But for the everyday person, like 1 gram of protein per pound is great. For a person who really wants to put on some muscle mass, they're probably going to have to consume a little bit more than that.
Yeah, pretty basic stuff. James, where can we find your stuff? We know it's what, resiliencenutrition.co?
Yep, yeah, you can find me at resiliencenutrition.co. That is the homepage for the website for the business. You can also find me on Facebook, or you can find me on Instagram at James_Whalen.
Jimmy Wheels,
Bye.
a.k.a. Jimmy Wheels.
The best.
James Whalen, we appreciate the time, brother.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, time for some legs. It's Got Legs, a story that's going to continue to make some headlines. This week, interesting one, we're going to the NFL and jersey sales. Beast mode, former Bill and Seahawk running back Marshawn Lynch topping the charts of the top 25 with that Raiders silver and black number 24. Maybe the most surprising of the top 25, Steelers' new rookie running back, James Conner at number 11. And we've got maybe the most intriguing, Colin Kaepernick. Yes, the quarterback without a team, the starting quarterback without a team, coming in at number 17. So this was my question. Does this debunk the myth that Cap is an off-the-field distraction? If he's 17th in jersey sales, he clearly is popular amongst a group of fans and would become even more popular with a team that signed him. He'd have a new jersey. You would assume that those sales of the jersey would continue to grow because it's a new team.
So a lot of people talk about the fact that he is now with the team right now after the 49ers because of political reasons and sponsors. You know what sponsors like? They like money. This shows that
they like attention
money
and eyeballs.
will come of it. Ticket sales, new jersey sales, like you mentioned a second ago. I was shocked. Well, and then Marshawn Lynch. Oh, my gosh. He didn't even play last year, and he's at the top of this?
Well, I get it because there's a buzz in Oakland. It's
yeah,
a team
and he's from there.
Made the playoffs last year for the first time in a while. It's a team that's on the rise. There's no doubt about it. And now you've added a great piece in Marshawn Lynch. That makes a lot of sense. But getting back to Cap, I think this is absolutely a sign that we're ready to accept Kaepernick back into the NFL, that fans are. Maybe the NFL owners aren't, to your point, because of the ad money and all that stuff. But when you have a Super Bowl winning head coach saying, yeah, Kaepernick is absolutely a starter in this league, and that's why we didn't come to an agreement. Now, maybe that was just the external reason, and they didn't sign him because of money or whatever that might be. Matt just hitting the monitor there, punching it. Very nice.
Much harder than I'm supposed to do.
To me, that is a sign that we're ready to accept Cap back in. And to me, this whole thing, move on. He said he's going to stand. If he gets on a team, he said he's going to stand this year. We're done. He made his argument. He made a stance. Whether you like it or you hated it, it's over with. If the guy is talented enough, let him back in the league.
I definitely thought it was closer to 50-50 in terms of people liking him after this. Well, not stunt, but what he did last year at the Anthem. It seems to be pretty one-sided, though.
This league has allowed drug abusers, physical abusers,
yes,
domestic violence abusers alleged murderers back in the league. But a guy takes a political stance, and that's too much? We've crossed the line because of a political stance?
Yeah, it could be much
in a day
worse.
and age where we want our athletes to stand up and have a voice and not give us the same old cliche BS in a postgame, this guy does, and we banish him from the leagues. So what do you want? Do you want a guy that talks, or do you want a guy that just shuts up and gives you the same old BS after a postgame? What do you want?
Me, or are you just
The
talking?
fans, that's what I'm saying. Golly. I had a great moment there, and you're ruining it, Matty.
Oh, I think it was very good. I don't think what I said did anything to hurt what your beautiful words did. But you mentioned with gusto just a second ago, talks. You know what talks? Money talks. I am shocked. I'll say it again. I am shocked he's this high in the list. Shout out to James Conner.
Yeah, great story there.
Yeah.
Out of the whole thing, that is a great little nugget.
Yeah, Pitt, Pittsburgh Steelers, Hodgkin's lymphoma. I think it's Hodgkin's instead of non-Hodgkin's.
I think you're correct.
Survivor of that. Beautiful. At least he wasn't even that high of a draft pick for the most part.
No.
11.
No.
He's 11th.
That to me is shocking and surprising and amazing all at the same time.
I think we saw Deshaun Watson 5'2". He might even
Deshaun
start.
Watson was 5. Yeah,
He might even start over Tom Savage this season. He's 5.
Hey, he's gonna make it some
for
coin
a
off those.
month.
Yeah,
In the entire NFL.
he's gonna be making some coin off those jersey sales.
Yeah.
Though. It's very interesting.
Dinero.
Dak's still up there.
Dinero
Zeke's still
squad.
up there.
Yeah, geez, those two guys. They're still super young, too.
It is amazing. It really is.
I think it's so interesting, this list. Like, just those 4 pieces.
Yeah.
Before even talking about Dak and Zeke.
Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting.
So that's the story that's got legs. We'll see if Cap ends up in camp. Somebody gets hurt. They're going to need somebody. They're going to need a starter. Someone will need a starter.
It's gotta
and they'll
happen,
ultimately
right?
have to turn it. You would think. I mean, you
It's
would
gotta
think,
happen.
but it just sort of seems like it's fading away more and more, which is sad. But all right. We turn to the thank yous, the thank you portion of the show as we wind episode 15 down. Our thanks to Matt Hauswirth, the CNY Central, for coming on, talking some ball and some always hungry league puck.
AHL.
Our thanks to Jimmy Wheels, James Whalen, for jumping on and talking protein, little Brotein, with our favorite bro. There we go. Maddie, my thanks to you for showing up.
This is where I'm supposed to thank you.
That's
Thanks.
all right.
Hey, thanks, guy.
Make sure you check us out on Twitter, TBD_show, Instagram, To Be Determined Show, email the show, tbdmailman@gmail.com. Download, subscribe on iTunes, Google Play. Download archived episodes. Leave us, rate, and review us. We love those. Let's see. What else do we have here?
Hey, thank you,
Check
Steven.
out the post-game press conference on Wednesdays on YouTube. Thank you for that, Maddie. And the Friday show on a Friday. Had to miss last week, but we will
I had high school.
that. I'm trying to think of a
Paul's
word.
talked about it for a second. Hey, it was high school sports.
It was a lot of high school
Abound.
sports.
Oh,
a lot
my.
of high school
Oh,
sports.
my.
So that is episode 15 in the books. Hopefully we determined a little something about the NBA.
Chick-ching.
Later, boys.